pressure belts are also known by the name wind belts. Yeah, this is the source of different wind belts. So the next title is the types of wind. Types of wind. Wind meaning surface movement, horizontal movement of air, always from high pressure to low pressure and named after the direction it originates. Surface winds in a horizontal movement. Horizontal movement of air. Fine. So types of wind are primarily divided into three. Primary winds, secondary winds, and tertiary winds. Okay, primary winds, secondary winds, and tertiary winds. Primary winds are also known by the name planetary winds. Planetary winds. And the types of wind order basis of criteria is on the basis of frequency and location of wind. எங்க ஃபார்ம் ஆகுது, எந்த frequency-ல originate ஆகுது, இந்த பேசிஸ்ல தான் அதை டிவைட் பண்ணுவோம். So primary is also known as planetary winds. Example of planetary winds அப்படிங்கிறது இப்ப பார்த்தோம் இல்லையா, the wind system which have been derived from your pressure belts, right? So these are trade winds, westerlies, yes, easterlies. Yes, I'm gonna write one more here. Again, actually two more here. That is doldrums, horse latitudes. These are wind zones. Okay, doldrums and horse latitudes are wind zones found within your pressure belts. We'll discuss each one of them separately. Okay, இன்னும் ஒன்னு tropic trade winds இருக்குல்ல, tropical இதோட other name என்ன? Trade winds are known as tropical easterlies. Yes, tropical easterlies. So one more wind is your tropical westerlies. So these are all your planetary winds. Tropical westerlies. Fine. And the second one. Secondary winds are also known by the name, periodic or seasonal winds. Periodic or seasonal winds. Mostly periodic category la varakudiyadu. Examples are land breeze and sea breeze. Land breeze and sea breeze. Mountain breeze and valley breeze. Mountain breeze and valley breeze. These are periodic winds which are nothing but a category of secondary winds. Seasonal winds are the best example is your monsoonal winds. Monsoonal winds. Okay. And tertiary winds are also known by the name local winds. Local winds. And there are global examples as well as India level examples for local winds. இதுல explanation, seasonal winds, monsoonal winds இருக்குல்ல, இது இல்லாம இன்னொன்னு இருக்கு, that is your cyclonic winds. Cyclonic winds. Fine. Fine. Local winds or example சும்மா ஒரு ஃபார்மாலிட்டிக்கு ஒரு 2-3 எழுதிடுங்க. Harmattan, Chinook, Loo. These are all local winds, meaning these are the winds which drain in your local regions and influencing the microclimate of the region, local winds, right? Seasonal and periodic winds, they occur periodically or they occur very seasonally. Planetary winds, they are permanent in nature, even though the intensity can vary, they are sourced from the pressure belts of the world. This is not a planetary winds. Fine. Okay. First, we'll discuss this, which we are more familiar with. Fine. If you have a star potter, the winds இன்னொரு star potter you can write. There is another category known as geostrophic winds. Which does not fall under surface winds. These are upper air winds. So another topic is your geostrophic winds. So first, what are trade winds? Trade winds, you are very, very familiar that the equatorial low pressure belt irukku illaya. So equatorial low pressure belt la subtropical lows highs of northern hemisphere and subtropical highs of southern hemisphere rendu edathila irundho converge agra winds da enna trade winds. So this is my trade winds of southern hemisphere and this is my trade winds of northern hemisphere. இவங்க ரெண்டு பேர் கன்வர்ஜ் ஆகும்போது இந்த zone இருக்குல்ல, that is the zone within your equatorial low pressure belt. The zone within your equatorial low pressure belt with very, very calm and less variable winds. Meaning, whenever there is a convergence, obviously in the converge agmode you can find a small triangle where the wind is very, very minimalistic movement and ascendance of air. So ascendance of air is very common, but there is very little or minimum variable nature of the wind. Such type of zone is known as your doldrum. So 5 degree north to 5 degrees south, there is a region of calm and less variable winds, which is found within your equatorial low pressure. 10 degree north and 10 degree south verikume ennadu equatorial low pressure belt. So and the belt ku edaila irukkudiya oru zone da doldrums. Doldrums. Okay. So when we look very closely, if this is my 0 degree and this is my trade winds, because of the wind action, the 0 degree is the 10 degree. So trade winds are more pronounced in this particular region, whereas within 0 degree, 5 and 5 degree north and south, there is a very feeble wind, very, very feeble wind, which is flowing in a counter direction to my tropical winds. அதாவது டோல்ட்ரம்ல ஃப்ளோ ஆகக்கூடிய வெரி ஃபீபிள்னா ரொம்ப மைனர் மேக்னிடியூட்ல ட்ரேட் விண்ட்ஸுக்கு ஆப்போசிட் டைரக்ஷன்ல ஃப்ளோ ஆகுற ஒரு விண்ட். இந்த விண்ட் தான் டிராபிக்கல் ஈஸ்டர்லிஸ். Tropical easterlies. In the white arrow enna, this is my trade winds. Trade winds. Fine. Yen counter direction la pogudu because of the rotation of earth. Maximum wind movement in the direction na oru feeble wind is flowing countering the direction of my trade winds, and this is known as your doldrums. Doldrum region, and the winds are known by the name tropical easterlies. Okay. Ila innoru specification, the equatorial low pressure belt is also identified as the intertropical convergence zone. So equatorial low pressure belt is also known as ITCZ. ITCZ. intertropical convergence zone, and this name is more prominently used during monsoon as well as shifting of pressure belts. So pressure belt oda shifting appovom monsoon period liyo equatorial low pressure belt எந்த term use பண்ணிட்டு இருப்போம் ITCZ னு யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். Okay, simple understanding of the meaning. Convergence zone அப்படினாலே அது என்ன region? Low pressure இல்லையா? Convergence னு நடந்தாலே அது எனக்கு low pressure zone. யாரோட convergence? Trade winds ஓட convergence. Trade winds are converging in the zone, creating a low pressure, and due to shifting of pressure belts, equatorial low pressure belt oda maximum movement, upper limit and lower limit of my equatorial low pressure belt edhu verikum 23.5 degree north during summer normal condition, and during winter 23.5 degree south. So tropical region is the maximum limit of movement of my equatorial low pressure belt. So intertropical low pressure belt என்னது equatorial low pressure belt, அதுதான் ITCZ. மீனிங் புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? சோ அதோட கன்ஃபைன்ட் கண்டிப்பா ஒரே பொசிஷன் கிடையாது. 0 டிகிரில எப்பவுமே இருக்க போறது கிடையாது. equatorial low pressure belt மாறும். During summer it will shift northwards, and during winter it will shift southwards. Whatever the case may be, maximum limit is within the tropics. Tropics க்கு மேல அந்த பெல்ட் மூவ் ஆகாது. So intertropical convergence zone is nothing but your equatorial low pressure belt. In the context la monsoon formation, shifting of pressure belts la da maximum in the terminology use பண்ணுவோம். Right? Next, பாக்கி ரெண்டும் simple. பாக்கி என்ன? அந்த trade winds க்கு அடுத்து என்னது? Westerlies. Westerlies எங்க ரைஸ் ஆகும்? Westerliesங்கற wind subtropical high to polar low. இதே மாதிரி ஈஸ்டர்ன் ஹெமிஸ்பியர்லயும் விண்டஸ் ஃபார்ம். சப்ட்ராபிக்கல் ஹை பிரஷர் பெல்ட் டு சப்போலார் லோ பிரஷர் subpolar low pressure belt, and within this zone subtropical high இருக்கு இல்லையா, within this zone at a latitude of 30 to 35 degree north, similarly 30 to 35 degree south latitudes, high pressure belt is characterized by descending air. So descendants agi wind converge aganum. Again within the subtropical high pressure belt there is a zone of very calm and variable wind. புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? And this latitudes is known as horse latitude. So horse latitude is found within your subtropical high pressure belt. I'm going to introduce one more terminology here. This is characterized by anticyclonic condition. The horse latitude is characterized by anticyclonic condition, meaning descendants of air. Descendants of air. Air descent ஆகுது அப்படின்னா ஹை பிரஷர் ஜோன்ஸ்ல என்ன கண்டிஷன் ரெஃபர் பண்ணுவாங்க? அத ஆன்டிசைக்ளானிக். we'll study stability instability ன்னு வரும்போது we'll make sure air column ascend ஆகுறது is cyclonic condition. Air column descend ஆனா it is your anticyclonic condition. அப்படி anticyclone condition இருந்தா இன்னொரு following consequence என்னன்னா, this is the region of no rainfall, or anticyclone promotes aridity. Anticyclone promotes aridity. புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? ஃபாலோ பண்ண முடியுதா? ஏன் அப்புறம் கை கட்டி உட்காந்து குளிருதா? பேப்பர் திந்துச்சா? someone please. பேப்பர் திந்துச்சா? நோட்லயாச்சும் எழுதுறா, ஏன்டா அப்படி பண்ற? நோட்டும் திந்துருச்சு. பேப்பர் இல்லையா? எழுதிப்பீங்களா? காப்பி டவுன் பண்ணிப்பீங்களா? ஓகே, ஷேர் யுவர் நோட்ஸ் பா. என்ன இவன் கூட சேர்ந்து 5 பேப்பர்னு கவுண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு வருவியா இன்னைக்கா? லிசன் நான் சொல்லிடுறேன். என்னது? descent ஆகும்போது என்ன நடக்கும்? descent ஆனா அது high pressure zone. air column ascent ஆனாதான், warm air ascent ஆனாதான் எனக்கு வந்து conduction possible. Conduction நடந்து rainfall நடக்கும். So cyclone condition is always associated with the rainfall. Whereas anticyclonic condition always associated with the aridity. Aridity na no rainfall or little rainfall. And why this type of wind is very important? Because this lies the foundation of various type of climate. Okay, for example, I'm going to draw a continental region here. Okay, two coastal regions. This is my west east, eastern margin, continentality, western margin. In the zone, trade belt zone na eduthukren. Trade belt. Tropical region ada irukka mudiyum appo. Tropical region la trade wind oda direction enna indha madri. Ena adu easterly. Yeah, trade winds are easterlies from east to west. So idu or continent oda ocean margin அப்படினா sea la irundhu land க்கு வருதா wind. Obviously இந்த winds onshore nu solvaanga. From sea to land. Up definitely this region, eastern side will get more rainfall. Konja konja poga poga rainfall will reduce. In the side போகும்போது கண்டிப்பா rainfall ரொம்ப கம்மியாயிடும். Again, இந்த wind oda nature என்ன? From land to sea இத offshore nu சொல்லுவோம். Offshore wind from land to sea. So within my tropical region, eastern side trade wind zone la irukக்கூடிய continents la eastern side la நல்ல மழையும் western side la மழையே இருக்காது. இன்னும் கரெக்ட்டா சொல்லப்போனா இது என்னோட monsoon type of climate. அதாவது deciduous trees இருக்கும். மழை அதிகம் இல்லையா, அதனால tree, forest vegetation, forest. Deciduous forest. நடுவுல இருக்கிறது savanna type of climate. Savanna அது grassland. West side la இருக்குது tropical latitudes la west side la trade wind belt la இருக்கக்கூடிய climate desert. புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? அப்போ மழை குறையறது காரணமோ என்னோட vegetation differenceம் climatic variationsம் all are understood with the help of your belt system, pressure distribution and thereby your wind movement. Monsoon heavy rainfall இருக்கக்கூடிய region. Savannaங்கிறது grassland is between forest and desert. Right? So this distribution, இது எனக்கு தெரியணும். World classification of climate சும்மாலாம் ஒரு புது டாபிக்கலா இல்ல. Everything is interconnected and interlinked. இந்த ஏரியா புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? அப்ப subtropical high pressure region அப்படிங்கிறது என்னது? Aridity, no rainfall region. Promotes anticyclonic conditions. Right? Next wind என்ன? The last two types of winds. Permanent winds la polar easterlies இல்லையா? polar easterlies. அது எங்க ஃபார்ம் ஆகும்? polar easterlies from subpolar high pressure belt, subpolar low pressure belt, polar high pressure belt. இங்க இருந்து வரக்கூடிய wind தான் என்ன? polar easterlies. Now polar easterlies are confined by polar front. What is front? Frontங்கிறது என்ன? Front is nothing but a margin between two different air masses. So இங்க இருக்கிறது எல்லாமே என்ன? cold air. இது relatively warm air. இவனை விட இவனோட temperature அதிகம். So clear cut frontal formations are formed along the margins of excuse me, margins of my pressure belts. The polar front அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. Polar front. So very cold air mass are surrounding your subtropical high pressure zone. அங்கிருந்து வரக்கூடிய wind தான் என்ன? polar easterlies. இன்னொரு specific note. I'm going to draw this. This is my, okay. Excuse me. if this is my earth, 0 degree, 90 degree, and this is my distribution of tropopause. Yeah, maximum extent here, minimum extent here. Inga 3 cell identify panuma. What are the 3 cells? One is Hadley cell, the other one is Ferrel cell, and a polar cell. Whereas Hadley cell is the one real complete cell, closed cell. This is a surface, trade wind. Excuse me. So Hadley cell oda, this trade winds, and the trade wind da ipdi represent pandrom atmosphere la. In the opposite la or wind pogu theriyuma, Hadley cell la. These winds are known as anti-trades. Why? Because their direction is opposite to that of trade winds. Surface wind, trade winds. Mala trade winds madri atmosphere la mala pora wind da enoda Hadley cell oda irukkudiya or cell or wind system. And these winds are known as anti-trades. Whereas my Ferrel and polar cell, they are incomplete cells. Whereas Hadley is a complete cell. Incomplete cell meaning enna, along the polar front, as well as along the subtropical high. In the region, subtropical high region, polar front, there is an upper air which disturbs the or which helps in making the cell incomplete. Upper air la oru air circulation irukku. Ida jet stream nu solluvom. So presence of jet stream, which is an upper air circulation, makes the two cells incomplete. Adu vandu complete cycle form agadu. The winds are influenced by the upper air circulation known as jet streams. Upper air circulation. Refer jet streams we will study, but make sure anti-trades madri, anti-westerlies illa anti-polar easterlies nalla wind kedaiyadu. Reason enna? Ena idhe madri trade winds ku opposite complete move agra mariyana wind system enakku indha edathila illa. It is been disturbed, it is been altered or modified due to the presence of another wind system which is known by the name jet stream. இது கான்செப்ட் புரிஞ்சுக்க முடியுதா? ஏன்னா ஆன்டி ட்ரேட் நம்ம எழுதிடுவோம், அப்ப பிக்சர்ல கண்டிப்பா என்ன தோணும், அப்ப எல்லா செல்லுக்குமே அதே மாதிரி பினாமினன் இருக்கும் இல்லையா? ஆனா அப்படி இல்ல. இந்த செல்ஸ் ஆர் நாட் கம்ப்ளீட் செல். Fine. So they are altered or they are modified with the influence of another upper air circulation known by the name jet streams. We'll come back. Geostrophic winds nu padikkumbodhu we will study what are jet streams, their formation and all.